Hello there, my name is Alex Pettipies, and I'm a grade 11 student at Darcy McGee High School. And you are a class of grade 7 students at Sims Junior High. At least I hope you are. Now, my classmates and I have been informed of a disturbing amount of hatred and prejudice towards other people going on inside the classroom. We've been tasked with addressing it. Now, one of the ideas we had for this project is that we could talk about identity and try to dispel myths around personal identity. My personal identity, for example. But how can I, a straight Caucasian male, talk about my identity and how it is or can be oppressed? The simple answer? I can't. There's no feasible way for me to talk about the oppression of my personal identity because, admittedly, I've never been oppressed for anything about my own personal identity. And that's the truth. But at the same time, it's also not a good idea for me to educate you about the intricacies of identities that aren't my own. That would be stupid. So instead of that, myself, along with two of my other classmates and friends, are going to talk about how other identities are oppressed and what you can do to prevent and stop it. Mac, over to you.
Hello everyone. Today I will be going over some basic information about bullying, bystanders, and what you should do or not do in different situations. These are the demographics of approximately 70 grade 11 students at Darcy McGee. As you can see, we have a variety of religion, sexuality, and gender identity at our school. For example, out of 70 people, 2 are Indigenous, 1 is pagan, 1 is Hindu, 2 are Buddhist, 27 are Christian, 2 are Islamic, 30 are atheist, and 8 identify as other. Similar to religion, we have 2 trans or non-binary, 25 females, 40 males, and 1 who's unsure in terms of sexuality. No matter what you identify as, there are always people there to support you. On the other hand, it is not cool to treat anyone any less because of their religion or sexuality. Everyone is equal, so don't be that kid that starts rumors or makes fun of someone else. If you're struggling, talk to someone about it, whether it be a guidance counselor, teacher, friend, parent, or guardian. Just remember, in terms of your identity, you are never alone. Here's some basic information about bystanders. Now, I know we have all heard of this information before, but it is still important to review. Firstly, don't be mean to others to make yourself feel better. Bullying isn't cool, especially if you bully others because of their race, faith, religion, gender, or sexual preference. Overall, it's not right to bully others no matter what the reason is. Secondly, if you witness someone being bullied, do something about it instead of just sitting there watching. A bystander that does nothing is just as bad as a bully, so think about that next time you encounter a bad situation. Lastly, you should treat others how you would like to be treated. If you don't want to be a target, don't target others. Find ways to let out your emotions instead of simply taking your problems out on someone else. Although it might make you feel better, think about how they feel. Would you want to be in their shoes? Think about that next time before you make stupid decisions. Please take a few minutes to watch the following video. This video talks about equality and racism and strongly connects to the topics of bullying and bystanders.
A lot of people try to avoid talking about race, but how can you avoid something that you're looking at in the mirror every day?
I was born in the Dominican Republic. My father's African. I didn't really see like a kind of defined line or difference when it came to race.
I remember growing up, I felt as if I didn't know what box I was in. So in my head, I was somewhere in between.
Race was very important to me because I felt that a part of my faith almost called me to be active in the fight for justice and equality.
Being a world citizen and, like I said, being the change that I wanted to see. This isn't a fight that started with me. It's not going to end with me.
I grew up on Long Island, which is predominantly white. I wasn't used to being around people who looked like me. When people are displaced, I find that they kind of go towards the people who understand them the most.
So I grew up in the South Bronx. A lot of just like color in that area. Not too many white people. I felt as if I wasn't African American black because I had Caribbean background. But I feel like I wasn't really Caribbean.
So my mother is actually Puerto Rican and my dad's Haitian. So for me, race has always kind of been one of the
like defining factors of my life. I feel more constricted to like fit into these categories of races that don't necessarily understand that you can be multiracial.
A lot of people don't realize that Dr. Martin Luther King faced great protests not only from people outside of his community, but from people within his community for differences of methodology.
What stands out most to me that MLK used was his rhetoric for unity and peace among everyone. I feel like in activism today, there's a lot of different sectors of what we fight for, but we should all be fighting towards the same goal.
I feel like his legacy really revolves around patience. With peace and nonviolence comes a lot of patience, and from 50 years ago to now, it takes a lot to really realize that.
I feel like just his relentless drive. He didn't let anything deter him from his dream of wanting black people to have equality.
I think Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy is complex. This was not going to be one thing that one very small group of people were going to be able to accomplish. And so his legacy to me has meant recruiting people to the cause, but also carrying the baton in that cause.
I think the major culture shock that I had was when I went to college. I remember being like one of 3 black males on my floor.
In college, you start to find yourself and find out who you are as a person. Being a black face in a white space, you start to think of things differently.
Sometimes I was the only black person in my class, and automatically when we're talking about issues of black people, it would be like a look to me to answer the questions, and it's like, well, I'm only one black person. I can tell you what I think.
It's not my job to tell everybody about the black experience, because my black experience is different from another black experience.
Personally, as a young black woman, I'm kind of scared that when I speak out, or if I speak out, I'll be fulfilling the stereotype of being an angry, loud black woman. No, this is just me speaking from my experience.
There's still a lot of trouble that we're having. People shouldn't be discriminated against because of parts of their identity.
We may have different opinions. We can obviously understand where each individual is coming from. And then it may help me understand myself and make me love myself and my black skin.
When we shut down conversation, we stop progress.
One thing the university taught me was to just fight for whatever I believe in. And I know that's gonna be something that I'll be able to take with me for the rest of my life.
One philosopher said, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. But if we can change our perspective on the environment and the world that we're in, and really preach a message of love, unity, and equality, we can build the world that we want to see.
After watching this short video, what are your thoughts? Has it changed your views about the topic of bystanders? Martin Luther King Jr. was an extremely important person. He fought against racial inequality and helped advance civil rights in America. He was seen as a global hero because he fought for what was right. Now take this and apply it to your lives. Next time you see someone in pain, physically or mentally, help them. Stand up to those that think it's funny to hurt others. Ultimately, it is the right thing to do, and you will eventually be recognized for it. Remember, treat others how you would want to be treated. And if you witness someone being bullied, help them, don't hurt them. The biggest problem with bullying is that many people don't realize that they're even doing it. Try to think before you speak, because even though you don't find your words hurtful, someone else might. And if you think you've said something hurtful to someone else, apologize to them. Don't be a bystander, be a game changer.
As I mentioned earlier, it's not necessarily a good idea to try and educate people about identities that aren't your own. But my associates and I still thought it'd be a good idea to try and incorporate someone's personal experience in this presentation to try and give a better idea of what certain identities go through. So with that, I pass you over to Justin Moores, who's going to give us an insight into their personal identity. Rolling. So just introduce yourself quick.
Hi, my name is Justin Moores. I am a gay, agender child in grade 11, Sims Darcy. As I'm assuming anyone else here would also be at Sims Darcy. And I'm going to answer a few questions about, well, frequently asked questions that some people might have towards my identity or identities in the LGBTQ spectrum. And yeah.
So what's your experience with your identity? Have you ever been oppressed or discriminated for it?
My identity is something I've been very uncertain of for a very long time. Only recently have I become a little more comfortable with certain aspects of it. And as for oppression and discrimination, I've never been oppressed directly. I can't say that because it's not true. I haven't. I'm very fortunate to live where I am, but that's not to say that it's perfect. There has definitely been some discrimination. That being in how the term for my identity, or just the blanket term for the LGBTQ in general, has been used as slang or an insult or viewed as something negative for a very long time, which I'm pretty sure made it a little difficult for me to come to terms with that being a part of my identity.
Do you know anyone who shares your identity or anyone in the LGBTQ community in general that have been oppressed, and what were their experiences like dealing with it?
I do happen to know a great many people who have been what I would call oppressed. People who I would call my friends and who were very close friends, I would say, actually. However, since they are my friends, I can't go into too much detail. It wouldn't be fair to them. It's their story. I don't know if they'd be comfortable with it being out there or not. But what I will say is that the things they've had to go through, both as pressure from just general society or people closer to them, is honestly very disturbing, and in some cases downright horrifying to have to hear about. And it kind of shows the general mentality of a lot of people, having to hear those stories and know that people have gone through that a lot.
Do you have any advice for those who are being oppressed, like how they can deal with it or reach out to others?
My advice for people who are being oppressed is simple, but also a little bit, nuanced. It's confusing. I'll explain later. My advice is quite simply, don't be silent. If you're suffering, if you're oppressed, if you're being discriminated against, just don't be silent. You can be quiet if you're in an unsafe situation, which I know happens quite frequently, in fact. But just don't be silent. Believe me when I say that is not a healthy thing for people to go through. It doesn't help anyone, especially not yourself. You have to be willing to accept that that's who you are. That is a part of your identity. And even if it's something as small as just silently letting off a little chuckle when you see representation in media, or as loud as voicing for equal rights everywhere, just don't be silent.
And do you have any advice for those who are looking to connect and learn more about those in the LGBTQ community?
My advice for those people is just reach out. There are probably a lot of other people who think along your lines that people shouldn't have to be discriminated or oppressed. So I say, go find more of those people, whether it's at a GSA at your school, a gay straight alliance, or just people online even, if you think you can trust them. Just find other people, come together. Your voices are a lot louder than you know.
All right, thanks for your time.
No problem.
Now, I have no way of verifying if any of you have been listening to a single word we've just said. It's true. I don't. I have no way of verifying. So let's be real for a minute. Everyone likes jokes, all right? Jokes are great. They make us laugh and all that fun stuff. But if you make a joke and you're the only one laughing, maybe not the greatest joke. As well, if you make a joke at somebody and they're not laughing, then honestly, that's not really a joke. Sure, you may have your group of friends who laugh and think it's funny, but think about how others are looking at you. Because if you make fun of someone for whatever reason, that kind of only makes yourself look bad to everyone else. But that's not to say you can't make yourself better. There's plenty of opportunity for you to better yourself and learn more about those around you. And besides, look around you. You're going to be here for the next 4 years of your life. So Instead of spending those 4,320 hours filling this place with hatred, maybe consider making the most of your time here and fill this place with memories that you'll keep for the rest of your life. Just take it from me. So, in conclusion, remember to take the time to learn about what different people are going through, and don't judge them just because they're different. I hope you all took something away from this, and keep in mind, you can make this world a better place. Now, come on, I know that sounds cheesy, but just because it's cheesy doesn't mean it's not true. This is Justin Morris, Mac Walsh, and myself, Alex Pettipies, from Class 50, signing off.